Hello, I'm Ronnie James Dio. We're about to embark on our 1985 Sacred Heart Tour. It's a show that we feel is the most spectacular that we've ever produced. When we get to your town, we're hoping to transport you back to the Middle Ages for a couple of hours, back to the days of knights and dragons, damsels in distress, crystal balls, and lots of magic. Every night in every town, we're going to construct a medieval castle with turrets, stone staircases, the works. We've even got a working drawbridge, as well as a second bridge that connects our drummer, Vinny, to reality. The focal point of the stage is this little guy, our 2-story tall dragon. He's pretty ferocious when he gets going. He breathes fire, smoke comes from his nose, and he can stretch his wings about 35 feet. There are other things he's capable of doing, but you'll have to come to the show to see those things. And then we have our 2 shining knights. Because we have 2 laser elements that we're using as well, we've decided to name them after those. One is called Argon, and one is called Krypton. Each one of these is armed with a laser sword, and it shoots out different colors. Lasers with the Argon and Krypton that can put colors together that really have no names at all at this particular point. Well, like I said before, a lot of magic. What medieval high-tech rock and roll show would be complete without a crystal ball? Ours is 6 feet across, and we'll be projecting an assortment of images into it. We'll also be bringing hundreds and hundreds of lights, an absolutely fabulous sound system, and a lot of magic. We've got the greatest crew that will be moving all of this from town to town. We've got 5 48-foot semis and 3 coaches for the band and the crew. So it's a big production, as you can see and you can hear. And we're all looking forward to getting back out on the road. We think we've got a great show for you. We hope to see all of you really soon.
Playing in front of, at the Spectrum in front of all those people, like 18 or 19 or 20,000 people, was pretty much the norm for what I had been doing before that, because I was in Sabbath before that. So none of that was ever stunning to me. And I had been in a band that had opened for Deep Purple for a lot of years as well. So none of that was kind of overwhelming to me. I think the only overwhelming part is that it's you who has brought those people in. I mean, before I'm playing with other people, and suddenly it's you who was the focal point of this. So that was pretty special. But for me, it was always the fact that I'm a huge sports fan, and the Flyers were always one of the nemesis of my team, the Rangers, and Philadelphia was a great team, the Broad Street Bullies in those days, and we got a chance to be in this mecca of sports, and that was more important to me than doing the gig until the show starts. When the show starts, it's different. I mean, you're playing for people who want to see this and people that you want to please, and you want to please yourself. But for me, it was the fact that it was again a mecca of sports, and a shrine for me in some ways. So that was the best part for me.
Well, going back to, 1986, it was a series of firsts for me. It was the first time I've ever been in a band that was headlining Coliseums. It was the first time to be filmed by the NFL film team, which was pretty cool. Those guys were great. We hung out with them backstage. So it was the first time being on stage with this man. And as corny as it sounds, he's my favorite singer, so being in a band with my favorite singer was, a dream come true, as corny as it sounds. But it was a wonderful experience for me. It was just amazing.
We're talking about a show now that featured a dragon, so obviously we need a lot of personnel to deal with it. I would say that the crew probably totaled, with a few exceptions, probably about 50 or so, about 50 people who had to put that up every night. It was hydraulic based, not nearly as sophisticated as things are today. So it was more on the heavy side. We needed, we must have had 7 or 8, huge semis just to carry the gear, and buses everywhere. It was a big production because it was thought big. We wanted it to be overwhelming. So therefore it needed all these, not only, probably the most important people are the guys who humped it together, got it together, brought it on the stage, but you have these wonderful people who dealt with using the hydraulics, and lighting designers. In that case it was Paul Dexter, who was our lighting designer, who conceived a lot of the show and had to correlate it and find the right people. So it was a massive enterprise, but there were a lot of people, and it needed a lot of people. I really miss the old giant things that we used to have behind us for the sake of the audience. So I think I would always feel that if the opportunity arose, I'd like to do that again. It was great the first, 500 times around, and I'm sure it'll be just as good. But again, to me, it's always been the point that the audience is who we tried to please. We always considered just to date us, because it was a while ago, when you went to Disneyland, you used to be able to get what was called an e-ticket. So those of you who don't know that anymore know that you pay one fee and then you go and you get all the rides. But you bought an e-ticket, you got the special package, and that special package got you more rides than anything else. So the e-ticket was, I've got an e-ticket. Well, we always wanted our show to be an e-ticket at Disneyland, because the show was Disneyland. It was fantasy. It was to take you away from the cold outside and the cold you're going to face when you get out of there, and to leave you with memories that are exceptional. So I would always, again, if the opportunity arose, if it was feasible to do from a lot of different directions, do it in a heartbeat. I should tell you about the dragon that was on the stage. And the dragon was called Dean. He was Dean the Dragon. There were others who called him other things, but he was always Dean to us. Again, I think you need to personalize what you have. And we did. We personalized him. He was Dean. The dragon was, I think, 20 feet.
Easily.
20 feet
Easily.
Tall. He was perched upon about an 8-foot riser that housed our drummer. And in the front of that riser, there was a part of the dragon that came apart and revealed his heart, because the tour was called Sacred Heart, obviously, and we wanted to have a heart. So his innards came apart, and there was a beating heart that was laser generated, and we carried full production. I mean, from lasers, full pyro. I mean, I'm sure that our pyro rivaled some of the 4th of July things at times. But the dragon was the centerpiece of it all. And it was all down to the man who operated him. He was the best. Steve Arch, his name was, and still is, I hope. Steve made that thing look as though it had come from a real place, and you were seeing it in a real place. When we first created the dragon, we gave it to a company. It was called FM. FM were the people who we had given the contract to build it with, and so they were in San Francisco. So we took a trip up, Wendy and I, one day, Wendy Dio, that is. Took a trip up to San Francisco to see how the progress had been going, and they showed us the head of the dragon. We went in and we looked at it and said, he looks like a crocodile. Well, what's wrong with him? And we couldn't figure it out. And then we did figure it out. His ears didn't move. So they put movement in his ears, so they would go forward and backward. And suddenly he came to life, because he had movement other than just the stiffness of the neck movement and this. And then Steve Arch, whom I mentioned to you before, just took it to another dimension. It became part of him. He made it move like it was a real animal.
That's right.
And so it was real to us, and I'm sure at some points it was real to other people. When he breathed fire, the audience would always shrink back at least 2 or 3 rows because he was that impressive. He was our centerpiece of the Sacred Heart Tour, and he never let us down once. He only collapsed in the very last show. I think it was, and it wasn't in Japan. Yes, it was. It was a Japanese show. And at his very last breath of fire, he just suddenly leaned over and fell onto the drummer, and that was the end for him. It was our last show, and he didn't die. He just passed out. He had a lot to drink that day. It was the last show, a lot of sushi.
He was hungover.
Yeah, sake going down, But that was Dean, and he was something special, and I still have him, by the way.
When we would do sound check, the fire marshal would come in to make sure that everything was okay, because he was a real fire-breathing dragon. And once in a while, every now and then, there'd be almost like lava that would come out of his mouth and light the carpet on fire. And we'd have on stage, we'd be playing, go, put fire out, and then walk away. But it was really great. It was really great.
And it was never just the dragon. There were,
it was all sorts of things.
12-foot knights on either side of the stage who had lasers in their eyes, who fought each other. There were other things that came out from the middle of the dragon's stomach. There was among the first laser animation, live laser animation that was carried around everywhere that we used as well. There were bats and wizards and all things that flew here and there within the confines of the laser images. It was stunning. Again, the pyrotechnics that were involved with it as well were amazing. I had a sword that was a laser sword that used to slay the dragon every night, or didn't really, Dean and I did our thing. We had at one time laser guitars surrounded with just LEDs. It was unbelievable, unbelievable. So it wasn't just Dean, but again, he was a centerpiece, but everything happened in that show. It just went on and it never stopped. The Sacred Heart Tour was a great tour from for the 2 years that we did it, because it was so productive and so interesting that we did do it actually for 2 years. We were on the road with it. It makes no sense to have something like that that is being so successful and to tuck it away and go on to something else. But during that period, we had changed guitar players. And we had done the first part of the Sacred Heart with Vivian Campbell, and the second part with Craig. So
that would make me a highlight.
That's right. We'll make him a highlight. But you know, for me, it had to be a low light, because the band that started playing that band in Dio was Vinny Appice, myself, Vivian Campbell, Jimmy Bain. That was and at that time Claude Schnell was playing with us as well. So that was the band, and suddenly it was, without one of the people who founded it. And our consternation, of course, was, will this work? What will we do? How are we going to be accepted, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where Craig came in. And so that was a highlight. It was a low light when, Viv was gone, and a hell of a highlight when Craig came in and was able to do all the things that we needed him to do, plus more. So I don't see any other lows or highs within that show other than those things for me, because the show always worked. It never was a letdown for me.
When I first joined the band, the fans only knew me from Jafria, not from where my true heart lied, and so, but Ronnie knew me from where my true heart lied. And so when I joined the band, especially during the guitar solo, people would be, flipping me off, and Vivian #1 and things like that. And then at the end of the solo, they would finally go, #1, you're #1. It took a long time sometimes to win them over. To me, I remember that the most, is I had a lot to prove and go, okay, I know that you guys think I'm just a pop band guitar player, but check this out. Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Well, the reason we were able to do this show, to have a Dragon, to have all those other things, is because we did an album, and that album was Sacred Heart, of course. So we had to be, sure that we liked the material, that we felt it would translate well. And of course, we wrote an album that did translate well, because it was very dark and very Dio-esque, I guess. And we were able to translate some of the songs into a live venture as well, Sacred Heart being one of them, which I think turned out to be a magnificent piece to be able to do live, because we were able to, I didn't have to do an awful lot except fight the dragon once in a while, but these guys had to play and play and play and play while all the other things were happening, while the knights were killing each other, and while the dragon was trying to kill the knights on the side, and while other things were happening. So it's probably hard for them, but I used to be able to watch it from that perspective. So I knew that the song worked so well, and it did. It just worked. Sacred Heart was one of my favorites, but my favorite song from that album is Rock and Roll Children. Always will be my favorite song from that album anyway, because it had a strong meaning to me. I tend to write songs about people. I think that's the greatest collection of inspiration I could ever find. Not only inspiration, but what great subjects. Because people are crazy, and they're not crazy, and they're loving, and they're horrible, and they're all the things that that we know that they are. So what a great plethora of information to draw from. So in writing that particular song, I wrote it from the perspective that in my rock and roll life, I've always been had always been looked down upon for having hair too long in the time when it wasn't fashionable, and liking and playing the wrong kind of music when it wasn't fashionable, and being labeled as a ne'er-do-well and just a dirty, drug-using person when, that was not fair either. So I remember what it was like. So I tried to put that in the same perspective of someone a lot younger than me at that time, what they had to go through, someone who liked to wear leather clothing, and all the other people who were wearing the miniskirts and little tartan dresses going, you're a freak. Well, it's tough to deal with. It's not only tough to deal with from your peers, but it's real tough to deal with within yourself. So I wanted to write that song about rock and roll children, because I know what they're all about. And so the song was about people who ran away from it all. They just ran away and said, I can't take this anymore. And at 15 or 16, they just ran away together. And you know where that led? Nowhere, because you have to have some maturity to deal with it. But it was a poignant piece for me. And every time I would perform the song, I always would well up. Always. I just always would well up inside myself, because, you have to have some passion for what you do, and that was my passion for it. So that song was the most important of them all to me. The others pale in comparison, but I'm glad we did Sacred Heart because it allowed us to use the dragon.
My favorite experience? Well, it's going to have to be an amalgam of experiences because they're all so great, to be honest with you. I guess the greatest one would be the fact that I just was able to make a dream come true. As corny as it sounds, you can make dreams come true. My favorite singer was and is Ronnie James Dio, and I got into his band. So I'm a fan that got into the band. Not a gig master who plays guitars and then they need a guitar player and you go back and you borrow the CDs to learn the songs so you can, do the gig. I knew the songs already because I listened to them for all my life. So that was a great thing. That was a great thing for me, and still is. And I think part of it was when we write together, some of that songwriting that I gleaned from Ronnie by listening was passed on to me. And so I feel one of my favorite things is when I feel like I can contribute things as a songwriter based upon that, because I have gleaned things from this man and then can contribute to this band.
Being able to be in get a band together with Richie that was, of course, Rainbow, was very special for me for a lot of reasons. My first opportunity to be someone on a larger scale, my first opportunity to work with someone who was my hero and who I could learn from, it taught me how to be a man of the world. Before that, I was a kid from upstate New York, and after that one, when you're thrown into the fire, you better dance around quickly, you're going to burn your feet. So I learned how to dance really, really quickly, and I got pretty good at it. So Rainbow was very special at the time, and now after all these years, how many years it's been, 28 years, 27 or 28 years, to realize that people still remember that band and who still, and musicians who still idolize what we did and who have patterned their lives upon what we did when we probably didn't think it was that great. We were just doing our gig. Hey, wow, this is great. Let's do an album. Let's go to France and record. It was all fun for us. But to realize that the influence that has come from that and the longevity is stunning to me at the moment. But Rainbow was, again, the really beginning of all of this for me. I mean, it was certainly not the beginning, but it was the beginning of the big time. And it's something that's never left my mind, never will. It's part of me. It's ingrained in there. And I like to look at it just that way. Wow, we did great things. We did great things. I'm not looking to do it again. I've always had a vision about what this band was supposed to be all about. And this vision was only one thing. Whatever you do it really well. Mm-hmm. Hey, everybody can't like what you do. I've written some pretty bad songs in my life and been part of some pretty bad bands in my life. But you know what? I always felt at least I did that bad stuff really, really well. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the song. It's all about what you write. It's all about going zoom, zoom, zoom. I mean, come on, you're not talking about, an aria from Puccini now, but you're talking about something that touches someone in some little part of them, some string reverberates.
That's right.
So zoom, zoom, zoom. I hear it and go, that's a great idea. That's so cool. But I think that once you start being a combatant once again in this arena that I've been a combatant in for such a long time, I think it's senseless. I don't think that you need to fight against whatever trends are here now. We're not that anymore. I'm not that anymore. I had my time that way. I'm not going to be someone who's going to give you a Beyonce song. I'm not going to give you,
That's right.
I'm not going to give you a climax song. I'm not going to give you an Evanescence song. I'm not going to do that. That's not what I do, because my and therefore our audience is what they remember us from and what they expect from us now. They expect us to be what we were, and they expect us to be as good as that now. Mm-hmm. So it's not a competitive thing for Dio anymore. It's not competitive. It's a band that will always play really, really well and be proud of what it does, and know that its peers will go, good one, very good.
That's right.
And if it touches that chord with people out there, and hopefully it does, then it will. But we don't write songs for that generation of people or that generation of people, because we are our own generation of band. And I think to duel with what's out there is absolutely stupid. So we know what we are, and we'll just hopefully continue to make, as I said before, it's going to be great. No matter what, it's going to sound great. So that's what I think is in store for us, and lots of touring still. That's what we do. We're a playing band. I'm a playing person. That's all I ever wanted to do. We make albums. You know why? Can we take it on the road and tour? Wow, all right. Because that's where you prove yourself. You only prove yourself by playing live. It's the only way. I mean, anybody can, use samples and tapes. I mean, what's that all about? That doesn't prove it. Because, again, your peer will be there one day, Nico McBrain, my mate, will be there one day. He's going to go, oh, you didn't sing that, did you? Well, I won't let him hear me say that, and I'll never do that. So anyway, that's what we are. That's what we shall become. That's what we will remain as.
Dash. Come on in, chap. Come on in, dude. Hi, Phil. You got 3.5 seconds. You got 2 seconds. You got 1 sec. Right, you're out of here. No problem. So, Mike. Kind of town? Yeah. I'm glad you liked it. Oh, it was excellent, Ronnie. Grace, you guys got definitely the best show on the road, without a doubt. You're right. Without a doubt.
All right. Bill, did you tell him to say that?
I gave him $5.
If you would, please.
Hey, it's Fergie.
You like it?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Fergie.
Hi there. I just got through loading out just now, and it was really hard, Really hard. We can't touch anything. It's awful. It's awful.
A lazy Fergie. Do you want to smoke some of this first? Wait, first I'd like to do my impression of that world-famous lighting dude, Paul Dexter. Paul Dexter leaving the premises. Well, I have to dash now. I feel so fragile.
Fragile. It's a bit harsh, man.
Okay, we're back here at the backstage area. Okay, so right here you have Larry Bud Melman. Larry Bud Melman right here. Ronnie Teo.
Come on, Vinny. Bill.
Vinny interview.
Oh, we're getting the whole group here.
It's Larry Bud Melman, Ronnie Teo, Dennis, Bill.
Toast on a stick. You got any toast on a stick?
Toast on a stick.
Luke!
Hello there.
Okay.
Tonight's performances. Dio, 8:45, 10:20.
Let's go film in there. Let's go
I'm gonna
film.
walk in looking for a meatball, even if they ate them.
That's good. Get out of here.
Starving, man. Meatballs! Willie,
Yeah.
where's the meatballs, man?
There should be some in there, then.
No, I didn't have one. It was half a sausage.
There was only one in there.
Huh?
There was only one in there.
One meatball?
No, one sausage.
Where's the meatballs?
There was only 2 in there.
Who ate the meatballs?
Well, Bill had 3 knives full.
Huh? There's no meatballs.
Let me go. I'll go and get you some.
Play the show. There's no meatballs. Who ate the meatballs? You guys came in and ate the meatballs, right?
No, we had
You don't even wait till we leave anymore.
We had the sausage.
We asked.
Huh? Did you ask me? That's it.
I'll thank you.
I didn't eat no meatballs.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
That's it. That's it. Oh. Where's the meatballs?
Severe problem. I know this sounds stupid, but Vinny wanted some meatballs tonight, and you ended up eating the meatballs. Now, we've already taken it out on Eric. Who's probably like petrified to it an inch of his life. But unfortunately, it's come to the attention of Mr. V himself that he's not very pleased about that. So I think maybe if you just go and apologize to him for the meatballs, maybe it'll be cool. Everything will be fine. All right?
Yeah.
Would you do that?
It's not funny. I'm pissed off. I can't
only ate one.
Who ate all of one meatball? Come on, own up.
I ate 2, I'd say.
You the chimes tonight. You know I went around to play the chimes. They weren't there. There was a mic there.
Great.
Nice meatballs in one night. I can't
Nice.
believe you guys.
It's more the it's more the meatballs than anything else. So I mean,
You're on.
Candy.
Clean your camera. An intricate scheme worked to the end.
We
with
changed the
depth
coffee
and
here.
Skill. All right. Done. We can do this every night. And about chimes, by the way.
Eric doesn't know yet. We'll ask Eric.
Eric doesn't know.
I came in here. Don't laugh, Paul. I came in here for a meatball. There's no meatballs. He is the one
fan
who ate
food,
food.
you know.
He's a Ronnie's pissed off.
Claude's
I'm
pissed off.
Bill's getting pissed
Bill's
off.
pissed off, and Angelo's really.
For Scotland. What's that? Oh, yeah. Don't grill on film. First hold them up.
Right.
Only had one. Try that. Can you see me? Yeah. You know when I
Well,
first
Paul,
hold them up?
kind of.
Okay.
I'm leaving. I can't stand this anymore.
Have to get some skates, you know.
Paul, well, I love you, Paul. Paul's going from being Bob Newhart to being Nijinsky.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, here you. I feel excited. Bye.
Exit stage
Yes.
left.
Bye, everybody. That was his big one. Bye, everybody.
Yeah,
Bye.
really?
Bye, everybody.
Unbelievable.
Bye, everybody. Rosie
See
Dexter.
ya.
Bye, Rosie.
I said, see ya. And
Yeah,
translated
yeah.
into,
Bye, everybody. Paul the Gazelle Dexter.
He's rad.
Mickey Mantle. Mickey Mantle hit 530 something.
Maybe we'll never get that far to change it.
To what? Just give me a hint then.
That's something
Did
to
you
do.
forget the one I
Changed it,
told
did
you?
you?
Yeah. That's something to do. Here you go. Joe DiMaggio's total hit streak. All right, but then I had to add
What?
a number to it.
Oh. Well, give me Joe DiMaggio's total history. And I'll add
And you just need one more number.
162. No.
No problem, huh?
No problem. I know Brian Weed would know this one.
It's like you bet your life.
If it wasn't the Dodgers, you wouldn't know it, right?
Well, babe,
How many faggots played for the Dodgers in 1965? 6!
New York.
Paul Dexter goes, well, I've never been so insulted.
Bye,
all my
fellas.
life. Bye, fellas.
Unbelievable.
Paul,
I thought you
bye.
were too.
Oh, come on, Paul.
Fun boy anyway.
Halloween.
I'll
Keep
do
that
it.
one,
Halloween.
No man
Oh,
could.
you'll kill me if you do that, Paul. I'll never be able to survive that. I won't. Honestly, I won't. I'll just fall right down and never be able to get up again if you come out with a tutu.
I'll
At
do
the
it.
desk, Paul.
I'm doing it.
At the lighting desk. You would, Paul.
Do it, Paul.
Dave, what's Dave's
do it.
now? What's Dave's last name? Bergman?
Burger.
Burger. As in him.
Burger.
Dave.
Who's like the
Hey,
class?
Paul, you got another cigarette?
How about a fag?
We got plenty of those.
Yeah.
Well, big guy. How about a fag? Uh-oh, here he is.
I can't believe I did that tonight and you guys didn't notice it. Man.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I did it for yous. I did it for you guys.
Now the girls.
Porcupine.
Remember when I told you about your solar plexus? I lied.
Tortured. He's laughing when he's doing that.
I can't believe that I did it and you guys didn't hear it. We don't
At
listen
least I
to
don't
the
just.
soul.
At least mine.
We don't listen to your soul.
Yeah, you what, Vin?
That's time off, buddy. We come in a dressing room partying, buddy.
Yeah, well. At least my soul's not the same for the past 3 years.
Ooh. Did you eat the balls too, right?
No, Jew.
Yeah.
Are they good?
No, Eric and Brian ate them.
Nice one, Eric. You mean you ate Vinny's balls?
It's okay, fellas. It's okay. You're lucky I'm on the diet.
Tell us about your new album, Sacred Heart. Is it a natural progression from your earlier records?
Well, the album Sacred Heart is the third in a series of Dio albums. And I think it's a very natural progression as to what we've done. We didn't go in with concepts in mind. We didn't try to make it more progressive. I think it's because the band knows itself so much better now. We're confident with each other. We're confident in the studio playing and putting all the material together. I think it's just a very, very natural progression of things. It's nothing we planned. It's very lucky that it came out that way.
Your stage shows are always very elaborate productions. Are they more than just a concept to you?
The most important thing about bringing a big stage set out, to me, is that we're giving value to the kids who have to spend a lot of money for a ticket. They do have a lot of choices these days. You can go see Band A, Band B, Band X, Band Z, whichever you'd like to see. I've always felt that if you bring them something that is going to be worth all of the money and the time that it takes them to collect that money, then they probably will go to your show first. That's not the underlying reason. The underlying reason is that I feel it's important that you present theater with music. I think it makes it come much more alive, and that goes hand in hand with the value for money. If you're presenting a circus on the road, I think everyone wants to go and see it and will come away enjoying it. That's the reason, really, for bringing it out.
Your lyrics have always been filled with mythological and medieval references. Why is that?
I like very much the values of that time. The values were that instead of the Black Knight leaping out from behind a tree and dragging the damsel behind a bush, the White Knight was usually there to leap out from another tree and strike the Black Knight to the ground. It's just a matter of value. Chivalry was a fantastic idea. It's too bad that we've not been able to use a bit more of it or have it be apparent in our society. I like to write around those themes because they take us out of the real world. I think we have enough problems to deal with every time we look at the television or read the newspaper. And if there's some way that I, through my lyrics and through the music that we write together, can give you a little bit of escapism, then I think that's probably a nice thing in this period of our socially disruptive times.
Do you come up with all the concepts for staging?
The concepts are done by Wendy and myself. Wendy is my manager, Wendy Dio. And we come up with the concepts for the album covers first, and then we take them one step farther and make them into reality with what you will see at our show.
Do you ever tire of touring?
I think I'd be a liar if I said I didn't tire of touring. Of course, everyone gets tired at some point, but it's the life that I like the best. It's a chance for me to become better at what I do, to hear the opinions of the people I'm playing for, to see whether I'm doing it right or not. It's my craft, it's my job, it's my art, it's all of those things. But like everyone else who works at whatever job, you occasionally get bored with it. That's just human nature. I'd like to be lying on the beach today too. But this is my work, and this is what I love the most and care about the most, so I forsake the beach for being here and talking to you.
Are you attracted to the vagabond life? Would you consider not seeing the same place every day? Do you like to travel?
I think so. I must be very nomadic. I like to see a different place every day, see a different face every day, hear a different idea every day. I think I like to travel because I get to meet the people that I have to deal with, and I find out whether I have my finger on the pulse of this country or any other country, and whether I have my finger on the pulse of young ideas and young values. I think that being a vagabond sometimes keeps you very young, and I'd like to think that it's done that for me. I know it has inside of me. I'm not yet ready to bare my physical self and show you if there's any flab there, but there's not much, so I think I'm all right.
Tell me how Dio differs, how Dio differs from previous bands you've been in.
Well, I think that the most overriding factor is that we're very honest with each other, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not in any of the bands before that I could mention. Whenever you delude yourself that you're more important than the whole, or that the whole is more important than you, I mean, I know it's a reverse kind of situation, but whenever you delude yourself into thinking that, then it's all going to fall apart. So with honesty, it can only either stay together for a long period of time or mean a very amenable parting, which I think is very important too. I have been in some bands where some of those ex-members and I don't speak anymore at all, and I think that's a real shame. All of us in those days put a lot of ourselves, we wrenched a lot of ourselves out of our hearts and our souls, and to see it destroyed because of petty jealousies and because of dishonesty, I think was the worst thing that ever happened. Fortunately, we made good music during those times, but the friendships didn't last. And I think the other thing that makes us different is that we try to write with intelligence. I know I try to lyrically write with intelligence and imagination to allow the listener to create his own concept or her own concept of what the song is really about. It could be your song. It could be Fred's song. It could be Phil's song. It could be my song. It has a different meaning to each who listen to it. And I think for, again, all those reasons, the honesty and the fact that we try to do it with intelligence and we try to let everyone that we play for be part of this band. We consider the audience to be a sixth member of this band. They are that important to us. That's what makes us different than all the others, I think.
Is there anything else you would like to say to the audience?
Well, I think the same I've always said, and that's thank you for caring about me as much as you do. And I know you do because you write to me and tell me that. And I read all of those things. If I don't reply to them personally and immediately, it's only because my schedule is such that I don't really have time for anything but my work. So I have people to deal with it for me, and hopefully they've been taking care of it. But thank you for your concern and for your care and for the love that you've shown me, and I hope that I've returned that to you. And the best way for me to show that I'm going to return my love is that we'll be back on the road playing in your town, every town, and giving our stage show and ourselves and our music. And that's my way of saying thank you for being so wonderful to me. Thanks.